Welcome to Unmuzzled Chat. My dear brothers and sisters, this is rude. Let's spit out the gum, shall we? Because this is a serious moment in time. In fact, this is a historical moment in time. And my guest today needs no introduction. Repeating guest, Lime Warrior, Wendy is with me. How are you doing today, Wendy?
I'm doing well given what I experienced yesterday.
So Wendy here, in fact, is coming on to share some exclusive information that she attended the Trump rally yesterday, was there live when the former president of the United States of America, President Trump, in fact, took a bullet. And I really want us, God, give me the words. Help give me the words so we can seize this moment in time and the opportunities that we all have. Because the fact of the matter is, evil does not play fair. And if more of us do not and choose not to engage and seize all the opportunities we have each and every day with our clicks, views, likes, dollar bills, educating ourselves, showing up in support out of love for one another, breaking down the barriers evil has constructed and unite. Well, you could see it. Evil has been very effective on infiltrating not just this country, but countries across the world. And there is a two-tier infrastructure that is clearer than ever before. And we'll dive into more of that and trying to expose that and try to give the calls to the action, proper, effective calls to action for each and every one of us that will ideally put us on the right trajectory to a brighter future. But for now, let's just hear what Wendy has to say. Let's hear what the horrors that she experienced yesterday and some of the beautiful things. It seems like there was also some pretty, you know what? I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I'm not. So Wendy sent me, because you were there with your son, you were there with other people you even knew. So you have a whole Google Drive folder that you invited me to. Let's just start with this one clip right here. Pre-Trump coming out, it seems as though there's this massive flag. It got into entanglement. Tell us about this moment in time.
The flag itself was beautiful because it was so big. I'm not sure if it was the wind or what, but something happened and the flag got jumbled up. And it looked like an angel. It looked like it had wings and a body, and everybody kept commenting on it. But there were so many veterans in the crowd and so many of us Americans that we wanted to make sure the flag was properly handled. So they took the time to maneuver everything and change it to get the flag back down. And there were people running so the flag didn't touch the ground because of how they had to lower it. And then, once they brought it back up, the whole crowd cheered because, we all had that same thought as the flag needs to be fixed. And even candidate Dave McCormick, who is a combat veteran, he said, we need to fix the flag. So they stopped the speaking to fix the flag.
You aren't kidding. I just paused it. It does kind of look like an angel.
Yeah.
Wow. Kind of goosebump moment there a little bit. But it's beautiful to see these large flags hoisted up from these massive cranes. And we've gotten too far away from what it means to be American, what it means to be a free people, what this flag, in fact, represents.
Yes.
So from there, wow. Next picture, you're right here. You're leaning up. You can see the podium, the stage. You are right there. So you're wearing a special button there. You kind of had a VIP access or something. Tell us about that, or wherever you want to start.
Sure. I'll start with that. I was able to get a VIP for me and my son. My son turns 13 on the 25th. And as a
Wow.
homeschool mom, I was like, this is perfect. It's a perfect event. You know, never in my mind did I have a fear of what transpired yesterday. So, you know, we got there, we were a few minutes late, or we would have been center stage behind Trump with the rest of our group. They stopped letting people over. So we got stopped where you can see I'm against that barrier,
Mm-hmm.
which I am, we are a law enforcement family. I am trained to understand my surroundings. I'm trained to look and observe. So the gentleman in the picture, the Secret Service, we chatted. It was so hot, and they had to bring cases of water to people, and nobody could get to it because there were so many people there. But I'm small, so I volunteered to carry the water. Everyone moved out of my way. I'm small. I squeezed through. So you know, he was really nice. Everybody's like, you are one of the nicest people we've met here. Like I
Oh.
know we were in the area where a couple guys that were rowdy got stuck over there, but I knew from being observant that that was the emergency path if something happened. Heaven
Okay.
forbid, but that's the path that was they were going to take. So we just stayed there. My son and I, we stood there the whole time. We were fortunate that you know, we were right off the stage. We were right by the media. We were right by the exit, so we could see, we could hear all of the Secret Service. We could see when Trump SWAT. We saw him come in. So it was
Mm.
pretty cool. You know, my son and I were excited. We were ready. Like you could tell the change in the air. And
Right.
not very long after that, things just went crazy, insane. I don't know the proper word to say what we experienced.
Right. Well, it's so fresh for you, no doubt. It just happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, I must compliment the dress. I don't know, maybe it'll distract from the weight of the experience, but you are so patriotic. Your dress just you almost you think it's just a design, but it states "We the People" just in repetition all over, and it's just amazing to see strong women such as yourself essentially carrying the torch in ways a lot of men aren't even carrying the torch. And I don't mean to be bashing on men like I kind of have been in a sense on this podcast. I truly just feel at the root of my being that men are called as protectors. We must find a way of showing up and protecting our women and children. That's just frankly the role I feel God has bestowed on us. It's time to start carrying that torch. You're leading by example, and it's beautiful nonetheless. You're rocking a Trump shirt as we speak.
Yes.
I just love it. So, how long was Trump even up there for?
Well, I only the amount of video that I sent, I don't know the timestamp, but it was a few minutes.
It wasn't
He got
long.
out, he started to talk.
Right.
You know, it was a powerful experience. And then he said, I don't know the exact words, but he said that he was going to go off script. And he said that they don't like when they do that, but they had the graphic. And that's when he turned. And I heard what sounded like firecrackers, but again, from a law enforcement family, I knew that was not the case. I
Mm.
immediately got down, got my son down, and then it, I truly believe, and I know it's been on the news, and I don't watch and I don't believe the news, but I do believe that if Trump had not done that and went off script and turned his head, he would have been murdered in front of us. I have no doubt in my heart that that would
Wow.
have happened. We were supposed to be sitting behind Trump. We would have been sitting where the bullets came. I don't know if the fourth, fifth, sixth, I think there was six bullets. I see different things. I'm not sure. We were behind them. We were behind the trajectory of where the bullet would have came, but we were already on the ground. But
Wow.
because we were at the exit, we were ordered to go down and stay down. And knowing that the Secret Service was coming, we heard the news, the press people in front of us on the phone. We heard them say that Trump was shot. At that point, there was another mom beside me with her son. She was covering her son. My son was on my back right. I had him come to my left because I thought if they're still shooting, they're going to be shooting in our direction. Or if there's people in the crowd, they're going to be near us. And if they come to that barrier, we're going to be crushed. So me and another mom who thought we were in a safe place with our kids, I'm down with my dress on the ground, covering my son, shielding him, because we did not know if the president was dead. We did not know if there was more shooters. It sounded close, but then it sounded far away. And it was one of those things where, as a mom, our instincts took in. The Secret Service was there. The only thing I could see, I was between the two barriers. The only thing when I looked I could see was the Secret Service, his gun, that's all I could see was his gun. He had his gun drawn, waiting for them to come past. So all of the news video where they show everybody going past and out, there were still people standing and cheering. They didn't understand what's going on. And then when Trump, signified that he was okay, they all started screaming and cheering. But because we were in that emergency exit route, we were still forced to be face down on the ground. Which felt like hours. I mean, it was merely, seconds to minutes. Yeah. And then because we were so close, we had to wait for them to clear out, I don't know how many thousands of people before they would even clear our section, because we were still that close to the president. And then after that, when I stood up, I saw my friend, Technical Sergeant Rico, covered in blood, and I couldn't control it anymore. And my son, touched my shoulder and said, "It's okay, we can leave."
Wow.
But, there was older people that still hadn't got out of their seats, that were still struggling to leave. But we were one of the last, 15 people on scene, because of where we were. We were not allowed to get up and move until the president was safely, removed from that situation.
Wow. These pictures you and your friends, everyone you were there with, took are incredible, and you literally were just right there. You were within feet of President Trump when he was being extracted. Yeah, you're seeing what a horrific ordeal. I mean, praise God for looking after President Trump. It's insane that he actually took a bullet. And I don't know all the details yet, because like you, we've been very busy on this podcast, and I've listened to some Charlie Kirk. I've listened to some Dan Bongino. I'm not tuning into any other news sources. It's just junk. It's all junk.
Right.
And it sounds like there potentially could be multiple shooters. Sounds like one of the shooters they got, he's dead. And I've heard that one of the attendees to this rally unfortunately lost their lives. And then I've also heard potentially that another attendee has lost their life. I don't know for sure. A lot of the details at this stage, it's going to take time to get genuine answers and know all the details. So it's important to be patient. It's important for us to not, let's say, flood the airwaves with propaganda or hypotheticals, or, and unfortunately, it seems even with the Secret Service being involved, that this is going to be handed over to the FBI for investigation. And I sit here and roll my eyes to that 3-letter agency, because as of late, it has really shown its colors, and it's lost my trust and the trust to the majority of Americans that I know. And it just once again highlights how important it is that we rule out this corruption. But my heart is heavy, because you don't want to see, it saddens me to see you dealt with this, your son dealt with this, everyone that attended. Like, Really, that's the world we live in now? That's where we're at? Good, evil, like evil is what's behind polarizing individuals, demonizing things so maliciously to where if this was just a fringe wacko or an organized attempt, it's almost one and the same of falling just under really that's where we're just at. I'm tripping over words because it truly is an experience none of us have gone through in our lives up to this point. And it's no secret that evil, this two-tiered system, the talking heads, the owned, the puppets have continually said against Trump, no matter what, at any cost, time and time again, at any cost. Many times they even had visuals of beheading Trump. They had all sorts of legitimate threats towards this man. It's no secret. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to lock him up. They tried to destroy his image, his character, the good things he's in fact done throughout his life. Now, I get none of us are perfect, and it's insane that so many evil characters are out there casting stones as though their stuff doesn't stink. It's ludicrous. It's insanity, and it's got to stop. It becomes so telling after that last debate that we are an occupied country, that rotting bag of oatmeal known as Joe Biden is not running anything. So in fact, there is a coup where some group is running this country that we, the people, did not elect. And if that doesn't boil your blood, like it should at least have you gravely concerned, because if it isn't one person, one vote, then America effectively has fallen. But the way I look at it, yes, even with the infiltration and the invasion happening and the dumbing down and the war tactics and all these things that are taking place, I still see an uprising of patriots. I still see a lot of Americans that value freedom, that value the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, that value one nation under God. It's just a pivotal moment. It's tough to articulate, but in contrast, when you really step back and look at things, we really got to see past the smoke and the mirrors. And above all, we must unite. We got to see past our differences and all the BS evil has stood up. I mean, it's the oldest tactic in the book. Divide and conquer, divide and conquer. We can't sit back and rely on any one individual to shoulder this whole burden. We can't. We must unite as one people and rule out this two-tiered system. Now, I might not have articulated it that well or that motivatingly. Is that even a word?
It is
but
for
it is for me.
A word for us. Absolutely. Yes. We have to get people involved in the grassroots, on the ground, in these schools. Like I took my son there for his birthday and as a homeschool mom to teach him about history because of his evaluation. He wanted to learn more about history. Mom. What better way to learn about history than going to a rally for the future president, and in my opinion, still president, because I'm still banned from Twitter for proving and showing election fraud in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And, I didn't expect at the end of that day to have to explain to my son how long ago it was before Reagan was shot at. And I'm a huge Kennedy fan. So, I study history. So I didn't think that's where the conversation would go for my son. I thought it would be about election and election integrity and being a Republican and conservative. And yes, people saw my dress, and one gentleman stopped me and he said, "I love your dress." And he recited the Constitution to me. And
No
he's
kidding. Wow.
but some of these kids in school have never even looked at it, and they don't understand. So, we got to teach these kids. And then the heartbreaking part of that is how many kids I saw yesterday terrified. The little boy beside me was covered in something, and I thought it was somebody's blood. It was ketchup, because we were laying in the ground, not knowing if our president was murdered and not knowing if the gunman was still out there or there was more. And this girl about the same age as my son was screaming, how could they do that? Why did they do that? And the mom was shielding her, because at that point, there was a gentleman, they have confirmed here. One did pass away. He was a retired fireman.
Wow.
In his 50s, not much older than me. His family was there.
Wow.
There was an emergency room doctor tried to help him, but unfortunately his injuries, it was not possible. I watched them carry out another woman. I've heard there's still a few in critical, but it was life flight and sirens. And, there was just so much happening. And some people got hurt because some of the crowd was able to leave. But we were not allowed to leave because, the area wasn't clear, and that's, I had my Republican pin on because I'm part of the Allegheny Council of Republican Women. And, I'm looking to start a group in Beaver County to get more women involved and women involved in politics. And, I understand the role of men, and I do feel that, but I kind of feel that this mother instinct that those of us moms have, we're the unstoppable ones. That mother and I covered our sons and would have died for our boys yesterday. But we should not have had to do that in America, in Butler County, in Western Pennsylvania. It's disgusting. That the boy, 20-some-year-old boy that they eliminated as the threat, lived 30 miles from me. I do believe in my role as health coach in genetics. Our children are being poisoned. They're being poisoned with vaccines. I got my no vaccines on. I wear it every day.
Tell them.
Our food supply is poison. The TV and all of the awfulness on Netflix and all the streaming, it's poison. It's death, it's murder, it's sex. If you're a Christian, those are things that you don't want your children infiltrated with. So my shirt says, "How can I offend you today?" I am a professional and I try to be nice and professional. But as a mom, I'm pissed. I'm pissed that my son had to go through that. I'm pissed that my friends and my family, my cousin was front row. She had to see it. She has pictures, unfortunately, of the deceased. Like, we should not have had to experience that ever in our lifetime, ever.
Right. Well, you just said so many powerful things, Wendy, that we all should rewind that segment and fully absorb, because it really does start with our children. And I even believe us adults, we have been put in a box in such an effective way. We haven't been free in our own minds for some time. And I don't understand is that, like, well, it's evil, effective, torturous, manipulative tactics. And it just blows my mind as to how so many are content living with inside that box and happily pointing the finger out as though anyone that question narratives, starts thinking for themselves, doing research, even arising questions, they'll shut them down. And there's too much of that, but we can't be afraid to speak out on truth. We can't be afraid, because when you start taking your health serious, when you start doing your research, when you break out of that mold, it's liberating. There's freedom. There's peace. There's challenges with it, undoubtedly. But we got to do it yesterday, especially in protecting our children, because you're right. No shot at this point, as far as I'm concerned, should be going into any child's arm, And what you could see, yeah, because this was some young man. And my heart goes out in the sense of he's been prey of war tactics himself.
Yes.
He's been manipulated to. I saw a picture, and it may be some white kid, and that just doesn't potentially show. See, I could be getting ahead of myself, but if it happens to be some white kid, it's like to even potentially come to a point of demonizing your own race. Doesn't that just really show how effective evil is becoming? Like the hate, this division, the orange man bad tactics, even left and right. It's all a construct. We could deconstruct things and talk more on a specific basis as to what direction on topics is going to be to our betterment. But the only way we're effectively going to have these conversations is by eradicating the corruption. Because until then, like, who's behind the talking heads? You start connecting the dots. Still 70+% of what their income, big pharma. Who's behind the big pharma? You can connect these dots and you can see who infiltrated our government body. You can see what it's going to take to clean house. But no one individual could do it. It's going to take all of us. But it does start at home. It does start with our littles. And gosh, we all have a part to play. Every single one of us have a part to play. It's sad that we live in a wartime. It's different war tactics than what we're traditionally used to. So it's harder for many people to even acknowledge with sheer confidence. I know so many people that would dance around that and not definitively say we live in a wartime.
I believe we have been in a war for years and decades.
Right.
And it's been in supply. I'm sorry, it's a Dollar General popping up on every corner with stuff from China and fake food. There's no nutritional value in that food. So there's this access, right? So I study that. And you know, what's the government do? Oh, I could get a grant to go put a program in, but that's not going to help when the only access to food in some African-American communities is McDonald's that has proven their sausage to cause cancer. So they think that they're getting food and they're getting meal, but they're being poisoned. And then they're stuck in this trap of, you know, we know that we have to fuel our body with nutrition to get healthy, to let our brain work, to feel good and feel confident. But there's these areas in our country, they don't have access to that. And the stuff they have access to, they think is good for them, but it's a lie. It is a lie.
To even have a chance, you got to understand these basic fundamentals. Yeah. I mean, I believe the root of it is spiritual warfare. And the singular greatest thing we could do is seek our own why. Why are we here? What gifts has God given us? Start opening up the Bible. And I know on individual levels, we will be called, we will be directed. And I do believe whether we right the ship or not to be irrelevant. So for any of those, like it does not diminish the level of importance for all of us to do our part and show up. And for any of us that are demoralized, what difference can I make? What have you? You have been compromised, my friend. You have been poisoned. Because no one in their right mind at this point of the game of war would anyone just accept their fate in that sense and not start. That's where the food and nutrition and the toxins and things have been so effective. Just that alone, the fact we have so many ingredients, so many produce here that is illegal in other countries says it all.
Yep.
Why have all these health organizations allowed that? Why have all the government institutions allowed that? That in and of itself exposes through a poisoning of its people, the corruption in and of itself. The pandemic I see as the smoking gun and a bioweapon jab, but some people can't see past the being manipulated and making that decision. It's a very hard thing to come to terms with. I get that. And I'm not here casting stones at their decision. I can't say I would have made any other decision given I walked in their shoes. But whatever it takes to connect these dots, wow, it is a shame. You know, we shouldn't live in a freaking country, and it's not just the rallies, unfortunately. There's all these horrific things happening to, I mean, let's be frank. The Americans under the biggest threat as of right now are our women and children with the invasion that's taken place. And the statistics are already proving that. It's like every 24 hours, there's another, not just even abduction, but horrific. I don't even want to go into it. It's sick. It's evil. How, Wendy, how else do we beat this nail hard enough to get people to choose life, to choose to show up and administer their gifts? So there was a screenshot I took. I'm not sure if it was from the YouVersion Bible app from today's verse, might have been yesterday's, but it's 1 Corinthians 13. I believe it started at 6. I'm going to go ahead and kind of read this whole paragraph. And it's about love. And I believe this is key for us to, and it's painful because evil doesn't fight fair. So it means we got to show up double, triple, quadruple to move the needle just as far as evil does with far less. But this is powerful to grasp, I feel, in this moment. Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It's not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. Here's the good part I think we need to grasp. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. It's like love, in a way, is the answer, but there's a lot more direction to be had out of that roadmap than that singular reading. Wendy, I just want to applaud you for everything you're doing, for showing up here today and sharing your experience. It's a pinch me moment. Literally, really, this is the world we live in. This is the America we live in. Are we going to just sit idly by? Are we going to allow our human character defects reign supreme here and just, oh, yeah, that was a crazy thing that happened, wasn't it? Okay, let's go back to Netflix. Let's go back to our selfish little lives.
Right.
Or we gonna see things because that's what evil would want you to do. It wouldn't want you to engage and have this be the precipice. It has been beyond enough for me. And I know for so many, they're just lacking. They're like, what can we do? What direction? Well, this right here's it. Be like Wendy and get engaged in all the things she's doing and showing up in person and supporting, being willing to come on a podcast and speak her truths. And I know you forward these messages out like wild. You are conscious. You're constantly improving your mental, physical state. So the Wendy tomorrow might in fact have more solutions than the Wendy today. That in and of itself is very powerful. To pay attention to our clicks, likes, views, dollar bills, and stop supporting big box stores and any of the infrastructure when you do the research that supports companies and individuals that are putting this money tyrannically against us, when we could put that money towards local individuals and family businesses that share the same morals and values. That in and of itself, seemingly overnight, if we all grasp, completely switches the power structure. But like, we all have to grasp that. And it doesn't matter if your neighbor grasps it or not. We must just do our part as we come to understand that and do whatever we can to kind of share that along and create the right momentum. So you're doing it, we're doing it, just sharing this very message at a minimum in a huge way is doing your part. Is there anything else you would like to cover on this episode, Wendy?
A lot of things, but I'll keep it down. One, I want to just acknowledge my pin. I wore it yesterday. I wear it when I can. It was given to me as part of the Center for Lyme Action when I sat in the congressional hearings to get support for Lyme. I advocate across Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is one of the highest states, and we cannot get PA Bill 100 passed. It doesn't make sense to me.
No.
I hopefully will be doing an ad for the Dave McCormick campaign. He's running for Senate. Bob Casey, Republican, but votes with Biden. So it's an election year. So you're right. It's where we shop. It's who we support. And the vote does matter. So I know a lot of great people, and I was trying to find something, but if you don't follow Scott Pressler, you should follow him. He goes across the U.S. to gas stations and gets people to register to vote. Wow. Very cool guy.
Yes.
He made a post, and it said about the number of Pennsylvania hunters being like so many hundreds of thousands. If every one of those registered to vote and voted for Trump, it's too big to rig. If everybody came together, right?
Wow.
So we have all these people that think their vote doesn't matter. My son is going to be 13. 2 election cycles. He's been there every time. I have to make sure my son knows that his voice matters. Whether I feel it's fraudulent or not, he needs to go and be there. And then I need to support him. I pulled him out of public school because it was full of mold, making him sick from his Lyme disease.
Wow.
I pulled out PA Cyber because the curriculum was Obama's curriculum, and it was during COVID, and they were talking about Pandora's box and all these viruses, and they had masks on. I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
Right.
And then, so then I'm a homeschool mom, and I try to go to a function to make it a school thing to get my son excited about it's election year, get involved in your community. And then we're on the ground covered in dirt because of a child. A 20-year-old is a child. He's not a young man. He's a child. And, there's rumors that his school and he was bullied, and my heart breaks because you're right. Somewhere he was changed, corrupted, manipulated. So the fact that there are kids or young adults and adults in our country that are not proud to be an American, or that don't want to be in our country, or that don't want to take the time out from having to make money or fortune and fame to see what's going on. That's not okay. It's not okay. And, I've seen parents that are bullies. I've seen parents at sports games getting in a fight.
Yeah.
At what point are the other adults, Christian adults with morals, going to step in? And I'm not saying punch them in the mouth, but I kind of feel like maybe punch them in the mouth and say, what kind of role model are you being for your kid? Or if your kid's bullied, when are the parents going to say, hey, look, this has to stop? The teachers, bless the teachers. Bless everybody that tries, but it has
Yeah.
to start at home. But if we wake up enough, we know that they have been destroying our family for decades,
Yes.
right?
100%.
Decades. Whether it's from making big bad marijuana, and all these people in jail. There are people in jail right now still for cannabis, but yet medical patients in Pennsylvania can go buy it. I
Doesn't make
don't get
sense.
it on the street. So they've destroyed these families, and now during COVID, you can get alcohol to go.
Wow.
Unfortunately, I dealt with alcoholism. I dealt with it in my family. But to
Same.
know that during COVID, as a professional photographer, I was not essential. I was not allowed to work in Pennsylvania for 2 years.
Wow.
But people could go buy alcohol at the gas
Yeah.
station and drive home.
Yeah.
What in the
Yeah.
world? If somebody still doesn't understand what COVID was,
Yeah.
I feel bad for them because
Right.
I was not allowed to work. I was kicked out of my grocery store because I wouldn't wear a mask. I was not allowed at family functions because I chose not to get vaccinated, knowing my genetics, knowing
Good for
that
you.
those additives would cause damage to my liver and probably make my Lyme disease then worse. So it's just, everybody needs to slow down and really look at what it is. It's not work. It's not jobs. It's not Netflix. It's not the next big thing. It's not who's having a concert or Taylor Swift. It's what are you doing in your community?
Yeah.
To pick up some extra money, I've been doing DoorDash. And the one thing that I'm just going to say pisses me off is that I would drive past an area that I know people struggle for food. And I go to $1 million house that's spending $10 for me to deliver them a Starbucks. What about helping thy neighbor? Do people not understand? Like,
Right.
we should not have this high and this low. And the same with, I support Trump because I support school choice. I pay taxes to a school that poisoned my son and refused to acknowledge that it made them and 6
Wow.
kids sick. It refused to acknowledge it. But I have to pay for my homeschool curriculum. I have to pay to take my son to activities. But they'll provide me material if I track them down, but I don't want their material. So
Right.
it's just, it has to start with the parents, the adults, in how we're raising our children. And if you are feeding your kids Skittles and Mountain Dew, you're poisoning your kid. You are
Yeah.
poisoning your kid. End of story. If you
End of
haven't
story.
seen that by now, our school system has failed. The people that are in power in politics, why are they talking about, okay, yeah, they're talking about jobs. Jobs are important, absolutely. But if we're not feeding our children or feeding ourselves with nutritional food, we're just slowly poisoning ourselves and we're slowly going to die and we're not going to be aware of things that are going on around us or awake, so to speak.
Mhm.
And it's just, some of you have heard my story being on here before. I was failed by the medical system. I was failed by the school
Right.
system. I've been failed by a lot of systems, but
Right.
every day I get up knowing that I can make a difference. And that's how I was raised. My parents were like that. My grandfather died in the line of duty as a fireman. He gave his
Wow.
life for his community. It's instilled in me and it will be instilled in my son. And I just want people to realize that your influence on yourself, your friends' kids, your nieces and nephew, it has to come down to you. So if you think you don't matter, you said it. They won. If
Yeah.
you don't think you matter, they won. Whoever they are, whatever you
Yep.
want to call them, they won.
Wow. Powerfully said, Wendy. You are in true embodiment of a warrior. I freaking love it. And I look up to you. And what you have done for the Lyme community and continually do, it's what I say is well too much. It's a true epidemic. More and more doctors are now confidently coming out saying, wow, we think more people actually have Lyme than don't have Lyme disease. Confidently saying that.
Yep.
And yet still we're so slow to even question whether or not that might be something ailing you or one of your loved ones. So awareness is key. We got to break out of these boxes. And I really think You really touched on one of the cornerstones there for people to really build a foundation that will put them on the right track. And it's health. And I believe it's not just balancing out the nutritional hormonal level, it's eradicating the years of poison from food, from water, but also from air, from mold, all these toxins. There's no conspiracy theory about it. Like chemtrails have been banned in certain states, and lo and behold, there's no more streaks in the sky. Like there's nothing, and they're still fighting that narrative on so many different platforms as though it's conspiracy theory, and the evidence is overwhelming. Like it's not even debatable, right? Like they've talked about geoengineering and for freaking decades anyway. So you got to get these metals out of you, these toxins, parasites, to even function right. Is it that surprising? Like, come on, we live in an age where men literally think they're women just because they could put on some women face. That just goes to show how mental they've like effectively gotten, where men would believe they're women. Like that's unbelievable. It's another pinch me moment. But my heart could go out to those individuals as well, because why? You just never know with some Christ in their life, but even more than that, literally just balancing of things into the detoxifying of things, that in and of itself, they could come to their norm on a human biological basis. It is crazy because individuals like this that act out like that, like it's no secret. The talking heads, this whole infrastructure has been weaponized. It's been projecting on the other end is the extremists, is the terrorists. Like, look what they're birthing.
Right.
Look what they influence they're having. They're birthing these things. They're the poison. That is the toxin.
Yep.
And so many of them, I'd venture to say, have a heart. They've just been preyed upon. They've been pedestaled. They've been spoon-fed some horrific things, metaphorically and literally, to where they're just not thinking correctly. They haven't done their due diligence. They just run on a talking point, and they're too lazy to actually do the work themselves. So we must assist and help. And that's where I feel through love, we're going to be most effective. As much as I want to go on in that field and, smack someone in the mouth, like Jesus, in my eyes, is our greatest example to getting through to people. And at the end of the day, it's their choice. So for us to have the discernment to acknowledge whether you're wasting your time or not is pretty crucial. And it's important that we just magnify the efforts. And that's where I see the value right here, because we can maximize, we can multiply, we can magnify this single conversation to like all across the globe. Let's just take a second. I got notes somewhere. Hang on. Like, for example, Rumble, unfortunately, at this time, doesn't give us geographics. It's not giving us like where all we are, but we're nearing 100,000 views. So in comparison to certain individuals, yeah, does it seem pretty small fit? Sure. But that's nothing to scoff at. We are having an impact.
Yep.
100%. So Rumble's our bigger platform, but Podbean, our hosting podcast site through all the apps we are on, does have geographics. Now, our viewership on the podcast apps is minuscule compared to Rumble. That being said, though, just on the podcast app, we're in 26 different countries. We're in 40 of the 50 states, but we're lacking some. So I want to challenge some of the listeners. You got family, you got friends in these states. We need to get these lit up. So shoot them, yes, get them on Rumble, but get them on Spotify. That will check off these states. But we need Montana. We need Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Arkansas, West Virginia, which surprises me because Virginia, is it South Virginia? No, it's just there's West Virginia and
Just Virginia.
just Virginia.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
It is south of West Virginia, so you're not wrong. You're not completely wrong.
Well, so it's surprising because Virginia, obviously, it's a hot spot for Lyme disease, and I believe it goes Arizona #1, California #2, and then I believe it jumps over to Virginia. So it's wild to me that West Virginia we have none. I don't get that. But anywho, Vermont, Maine, and Rhode Island. So you listeners know anyone in those regions, those states. We have work to do. And you just never know. Heck, we might even just turn someone off enough that they jump to another channel that does have a positive impact. It's just important that we get people sourcing their information. Sourcing is key. And Rumble and podcasts, in my eyes, are the new best way of obtaining information. Where else? Everywhere else poses like they're bought out, they're owned, they're controlled. So with that, you get what you get. Sorry, a bit of a tangent there, but any other burning desires? You really hit it out of the park, I feel, this episode. And I'm so grateful for all you do, Wendy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do want to share that I am in the final stages of being a trainer on ticks for it's the PA Lyme Resource Network has worked with the Department of Health in Pennsylvania, and we can put on free webinars or Zooms to talk about ticks. And I knew about ticks. I got a rash, the second infection, which I was excited about. My son's tick was positive. His testing was negative, but we treated him because we knew to test the tick. So, one of the additional things is I'm going to be around Western Pennsylvania, putting organizations, schools, Boy Scouts, hunters, through this program to understand about ticks. And there's some stuff I didn't know. So just two things that freaked me out, but we need to know about it is that the ticks will hang out on a leaf because they don't jump, right? They will hang out with one little of their 6 legs out to latch onto you. They wait for you. The other tick's a hunter. They can find you from 20 feet, if I'm saying it correctly.
Really? Wow.
They can detect your carbon dioxide. They know you're there. They will track you down. They will find the first soft spot because their goal is to get a meal. So the nymphs, the babies, feed off the mice. The mice give them the infection, but the mice don't get infected. So they are trying to work with these traps where the mice go through, and then they get the permethrin on it, and then that kills the Lyme, but not the mouse. But then from there, the adult ticks feed off humans or deer, but the deer are the carrier, like the bus. The deer don't get infected, the meat doesn't get infected, but they carry the ticks. And then the smaller animals bring them into the home, or if you have a pet that goes outside, do not let them sleep in your bed. They could bring you a tick. The tick can find you, follow you to the bathroom, climb up your leg. Like, it is that much of an ordeal in these states with the ticks. Do I feel Lyme has been around a long time? Yes. Do I feel the ticks were weaponized and that's been proven at this point? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But we need to know that Lyme disease is in 50 states.
Yes.
It is. And treatment varies on each person. Not every protocol is the same. If you are dealing with Lyme and you have a doctor trying to charge you $10,000 or more, walk out the door. They are stealing your money. They are not going to help you unless they know if your body can process that medication. And that you can do through testing because it's been around, genetics are around. But the whole Western medicine, whether the CDC wants to change what Lyme is, there's co-infections. If your doctor isn't testing you for co-infections, they're leaving you sick. If they are giving you doxy that's only proven to be effective 60% of the time, 40% of you will leave sick. Right. So do I believe that some of these people that are doing hurtful things are sick? Absolutely. They're sick, toxins, poisons, mold. In Western Pennsylvania, we don't get enough dry season. So 50% of homes have mold.
Wow.
The schools, the public housing, they have flat roofs. They're underfunded. They're not taken care of. They have mold.
Wow.
If you don't detox mold, it's fibromyalgia, it's arthritis, it's lupus, it's tremors. But at the end of the day, we're toxic. We have to lower our toxic burden. Working out, sweating, sauna, having good nutrition. Like there's so many things we could do, which is what I had to learn myself. Now I work with a clinic. I don't have to tell people and piece them out. I work with a clinic. They can help people fine tune their path to healing, but we just have to know that. But we have to be the one to stand up for ourselves. I did a lot of things in my life, so I'm fine speaking and being in public. But if you're not, go out of your comfort zone. If you dealt with Lyme or you listen to this podcast, reach out to me, reach out to somebody else. Let us share your story because we're being ignored, but more importantly, we're being left sick. And if we're left sick, we cannot be out on the front lines doing things for our community, attending events that make a difference. And, it's just sad. It's sad, but I do work now with the remote clinic with the DA company. We're going to be doing a free webinar for Lyme patients so we can see that, $400, you can get genetic testing to see if doxy is even going to work. If it's not going to work, don't take it. Don't destroy your liver. Don't not time to go out in the sunshine because doxy is going to hurt you. So, a lot of great things coming up, but, years ago, I didn't know my son's name, and it was hard and I got through it. And it breaks my heart that there are Lyme patients that are choosing assisted suicide. I don't believe in that. I'm sure you don't either. No. I understand that feeling. I know you and I have talked about that. Yes. Was there a time in my life that was dark and I didn't want to wake up? Yeah, because I'm so tired because I didn't sleep for years. But it's not the answer. It's not the answer.
See, you're kind of onto something there. Where it's like hard for us to, especially in a diminished state, acknowledge the impacts and the effects that are actually taking place. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the time, our society around us is making us out to be the issue, which only magnifies the issue, does not lead into any solutions. So, I mean, just to reflect as you were talking, it's like, wow, without some of the breakthroughs I've had, I could just see that there's Lyme rage tied to this, where you act irrationally. So any one of these toxins, whether it's Lyme, whether it's other parasites, whether it's the mold, could literally be diminishing you and making you vulnerable to be more malleable, manipulated, essentially, right where they want you and controlled. And then with some extra pharmaceuticals and this and that, it literally, they have you where they want you. And they can profit off of you. They could get you to even obtain the mark of the beast, join the centralized digital currency, full tyrannical control in 15-minute city, give up all your rights. It's all intertwined. It's so crucial. Every one of your lives matter. And it truly is a blessing, Wendy, I view, to be alive in this era today, because never has it just been so black and white. Now, there's great challenges because I don't believe biowarfare has ever been to this scale it has been. What took place with COVID is horrific, and we're trying to expose that. My goodness, with the episodes we're having with these warriors or military personnel, we thought we had it bad on civilian levels. Tune into some of these stories, and we must champion some of them and seek restitution and resolve there, which is all one and in the same across the board. We
Right.
cannot sweep these historical moments onto the rug and go back to a delusional life, because that's exactly what it is. Without addressing the actual what took place, it'd
Right.
be entirely delusional to think we could just go back to some type of life of normacy. It's only going to get worse. Tyranny never ends. It's going to keep infringing upon our freedoms, upon our rights, upon everything. If you have nothing else, I'm just going to do a quick sign off, but it is such a pleasure having you, Wendy. I can't wait to have you on again. Listeners, please check out the comment section below. It's important that we gain traffic to some of the links that Wendy's going to provide and the things she's involved in. It's so important. Okay, that being said, we've talked about Patriot Mobile. Only positive things coming back from people that have made that jump. Now, from the number side of things, yes, I can see the numbers. A lot of us are shifting over, but not enough of us have. And I'm sitting here questioning as to why. Because this is the only Christian conservative mobile network there is. And joining them, you can potentially save money. You more than likely will get better cellular coverage. It will give you a level of protection and privacy. That alone, what are you waiting for? But the most important is you're funding a company that is on the front lines, fighting on behalf of our freedoms, our veterans, pro-life, and so many other things. And you could check that out on their own webpage. So you could click the link below or call them and simply use the promo code Unmuzzled. They will take care of you, the waive fees and everything. I want us to be protected, so I want to mention EMP Shield. I've mentioned it many times. With the floodgates being opened, I view our greatest threat is them shutting down our communications. How are they going to do that? EMPs. How do you protect yourself? EMP Shield. Right now, you can get $50 off every single one of their products. I say at minimum, one per family for at least one vehicle. If you can get one for the home, or if you have a solar system, check that out as well. Now, to the health side of things, I attribute some of my greatest breakthrough on detoxifying my body to Bond Charge and the infrared sauna blanket. I'm so grateful for that affiliation to pass on 15% off to all of you. That is over $100 off an infrared sauna blanket. And they have so many other products that will help up your health. So check them out. A way you can magnify detoxifying the body is this little miracle tincture masterpiece. It eradicates all heavy metals and forever chemicals. Check it out below and do your own research. Now, if you happen to be in Arizona, check out the Unchained Wellness Clinic. They are offering all our listeners a free infrared sauna and cold plunge, and they have revolutionary testing and things to help people get to the root of the issues that is ailing them. And that's enough. I mean, go to Black Eagle Apparel, get yourself an Unmuzzled t-shirt. We need your support. We need to get out there and just grow our reach. Help us accomplish that. With that being said, so grateful for you tuning in today. It's a crazy moment in time. Let's buckle up. But above all, let's support one another, because I know we can live more in a blessed era as the world seemingly crumbling around us when we effectively support one another. So let's do our best to accomplish that. That being said, God bless you. God bless America. Till next time, take care.